Alright, so here we are at Panthers Den Trailhead. So how did we get from Max Creek to Panthers Den Trailhead? I'll explain it to you when I get the camp set up. So we got camp set up down here at Panthers Den Wilderness, doing some chores. We always hang our food. I know there's no bears, but the more you keep the interactions between you and the animals, avoid interactions between you and the other animals, the less other people will have problems. So, got camp set up. Like I said, filtering some water, hanging some food, doing all that good stuff. And we'll, somebody build a big old fire pit here. But we'll come over here and tell how we got from Max Creek to Panthers Den in the blink of an eye. So here we are in Panthers Den. If you've been following our trip, me and my brother started that first week is over 100 degrees with the heat index and everything. That slowed us down. I had a scheduled 0, which turned into 2, and that really put us behind. We went out Friday night to get an early start Saturday morning. Doing really good. What's today, Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think Monday I got bit by a spider. Kind of kept an eye on it. And then Tuesday, Sunday, maybe Sunday. Monday it was getting worse. Tuesday morning we made the decision that I needed to go get it checked out. The skin where the bite area was black, and it was all swollen and red around it and starting to blister up when we woke up Tuesday morning. So we made the decision to go. Got picked up a couple miles away from Max Creek and got to the doctor. They checked it out, gave me some steroids, antibiotics, told me to keep an eye on it. If the black area got bigger or started developing a hole, I'd have to go to the ER. But we stayed home Tuesday night, and now it's Wednesday. We just came back out Wednesday evening, and so far it seems to be doing a little bit better. So we're going to take our chances. And the decision that we made was we were at 75 miles. At this point, with all the different delays, there's no way we could finish the trail in the time that we have. So me and Chris were talking, and we decided, 100 miles sounds like a whole lot better than 75 miles. Is a more round number and bigger accomplishment and all that stuff. And so when we were checking, we were talking back and forth about, do we just get dropped back off by Max Creek and continue 25 miles? And then we were looking, and a lot of road walks and through from there to Dutchman Lake and different places, and working your way over to Fern Cliff and stuff, and just a whole lot of road walks and places. Having lived here in this area all my life, places I've been to a lot. So we got talking to come here, and then we figured out if we went 25 miles from here, we could come through the Panthers Den Wilderness, Crab Orchard Wilderness, Cedar Lake,
Giant City.
Yeah, Giant City, and end over in Alto Pass, and so that's why we're here, and skipped ahead and everything. Just wanted. We're going to knock out, tomorrow's Thursday, so we're going to try to knock out Thursday and Friday, knock out those 25 miles and end up in Alto Pass. I think the terrain, the trail has been a whole lot better over here.
Right, yeah, I think it's a lot better maintained and less erosion. I think around Max Creek and Hayes Creek, where we came in after Eddyville, with all the rain and everything, and it eroded a lot and left a lot of baseball-sized rocks in the trail going downhill, which we made some okay time, but we probably could have done better if we weren't staring at the ground and stumbling over rocks and exposed roots all the way there, down and up. So
yeah, and we really appreciate the work that everybody done has done so far to build the trail and maintain the trail and all that kind of stuff. So, but so I mean, we're not complaining, but it's just a fact. There are a lot of obstacles on the trail in a lot of the areas where you're having to just constantly look down, which slows you down, but it also kind of sucks because you can't enjoy the scenery. You can't have your head up looking around, seeing what everything looks like, and it seems like it's miles that way, you know.
And I think it was the rain that did a lot of that too. I think it was if it was dry, um, the rocks wouldn't be as loose as they were.
Yeah.
And stepping on them, and you know, and they got moved around pretty good. So, you know, I mean, the trails are fairly well maintained. You know, they're maintained pretty good over there too. Um, it's just I think the trek to where we're at now, there was no rocks, so that's the only thing that stuck out in my mind. But I mean, you can't do much if there's rocks all over the trail because that's kind of what nature does. So
yeah, and we didn't really think about it until, like you said, we were coming down here, and it's like, wow, he mentioned that, you know, he's not having to look down; he can actually look up and enjoy the scenery, you know, for the first time in a while. And but yeah, our hats are off to everybody that's done any work at all on the trail, because we were out in some pretty remote areas, and people had drug chainsaws, and
I mean, you can see that work has been done. I mean,
Yeah.
it's impressive on the amount of work. I think it was just the frustration of stepping on the rocks, and I don't think that reflects anything on the work crews and people that came out to do
No.
the work and everything else like that. It's just, you know, it is what it is. So
maybe we should do what I've never done the AT. I've done little bits and pieces of it at overnight here and there, but I hear a lot of people doing the Appalachian Trail up in Pennsylvania. I think they're always complaining about the rocks. So my solution to that is everybody that goes through that section of Pennsylvania, just pick up one rock and toss it off the trail, and it'd be good to go. So maybe that's what we ought to do back here. Everybody does the river to river trail. Take one rock off the trail, and in a few years it'd be good. Maybe our great grandchildren can walk through it.
without rocks.
Yeah, it's just location, man. I mean, there's rocks. It's the nature of the beast. But it was noticeable how this was different. But yeah, so that's what we did. We decided, look, there's just no way. I mean, maybe if we were hammering out serious miles and everything went perfect and there was no delays and no issues, and that's another thing too. The water really slowed us down. And what I mean by that is, maybe you're planning on doing, just making up numbers, 15 miles one day, but you need to camp at a water source because, especially as dry as it's been, then you gotta be able to cook and use all your water that you got, and then be able to fill up again the next morning to take off with. We've been carrying at least 3 liters, and so if you can't do 15 miles, because the nearest creek is at like mile 11 and then mile 19, and then you end up having to stop short, you know, that's kind of screwed us up a couple days too, because the water's been the guiding beast of our trip, just trying to get from water source to water source, and making sure, you know.
And when we started, there wasn't a water source pretty much
Yeah.
throughout the thing. So, I mean, at first it was slowing us down because there weren't any water sources, and then after it rained and washed a lot of stuff out, we had an abundance of water with the river crossing and or creek crossing and things like that. So, like I said, it's nature.
Yeah.
It almost seems like nature's like, no, it's not your time to do it.
Yeah, it really is, and I mean, you can't beat Mother Nature. You know, all you can do is just try to work with her, you know. So that's what we've been trying to do. And that's another thing for somebody planning a trip, especially in drier weather. The mileage is off, and I've heard other people say it. The mileage on our Garmin's versus the mileage on the trail guides is off, because like that first night, I think we should have gotten to a reliable water source at about 10 miles. 10 miles coming out of Elizabethtown when it's over 100 degrees, it wears you out. And so we hiked, and it was like, man, we should be getting close to that water source by now. And we looked, and we were already 10 miles in, and just wore out, and we'd been counting on that water source to be within that range. We had to backtrack, get a water puddle we found, and filter water out of that. And that water source ended up being a total of 13 miles. I think it was another 3 miles, because we spent the night around 10 miles and then did another 3 the next day to get to that water source. So if you're planning during a dry season, keep that in mind. Really do your research on the mileage, the distance between the sources and everything. And we had a lot of people volunteering, all kinds of people volunteering to bring us water, to meet us somewhere and everything. Man, we really appreciate it. But the bad thing is, traveling through all these areas, you don't get a phone service, so then your phone's on airplane mode. And that night, we stopped 10 miles. We were miles from anything, and it was probably the next day before we were able to get internet service and turn on that first day all these people had offered. And so that's something else to keep in mind. There are a lot of people out there to help you, but it's just kind of an issue getting a signal and getting the messages and everything. So to all those people that helped, we appreciate it, or offered help, we appreciate it. But for the future hikers, keep that in mind. See if there's some way you can work around that.
And when we decide to do it again, at least we know.
Yeah.
Maybe keep that in mind, and
be more.
We'll come back and kick its butt rather than kill kicking ours.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
We can't even say that because they'll probably kick our butt in a different way. So.
Yeah, that was cool too, because for a while we were dealing with all the heat, and the heat was kicking our butt. And then we got too much water and had swollen creeks and everything to cross, and all the mud and everything. Yeah, wet all day long.
I kicked your butt, and the spider kicked your butt.
Yeah, the spider kicked my butt, so they've been tossing everything at us. But the new challenges, they're cool though. I mean, it's a new problem, something else you got to work out, and that's something too with this trip. Yeah, we're not going to finish it, but we made a lot of accomplishments, met a lot of challenges, and just kept on cruising, man. And stuff was just getting thrown at us, and we just kept on going, and more stuff would get thrown at us, and we just kept on going. And I'm proud as heck that how we handled everything. And
right.
So even though we didn't get to step in that river this time, shoot, I'm still proud of what we did.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we kept coming out, and kept going forward.
Yeah. And even now, we could have just said, okay, now we were home another day or two because of this stupid spider bite. Why don't we it would be an easy out. We could have both used that as an excuse to say, okay, well, the trip's done, but that 100 miles sounded a whole lot better. So here we are again, getting ready to get life and nature throw stuff at us and see what happens. But yeah, you got anything else to add right now?
No. Again, I'm not complaining about the trail cruise whenever about the rocks. I did some trail crew in New Mexico, so I know what it's like. So it was just a frustration of the rocks. I think I twisted my ankle 2 or 3 times, or on the verge of twisting my ankle. I rolled my ankle a couple times, but it held. But yeah, it's been an adventure. So.
And one other piece of advice, if you watch other people's river trail videos, a lot of them will talk about the spiders, spider webs in the face. It's any backpacker has to deal with and everything. I found a good solution to that, to the spiders in your face, the spider webs in your face. Bring your little brother and let him go first.
Yep. There's plenty of spider webs to the face.
Yeah.
And that was another thing. I think it's just the river to river trail, because we jumped on the trailhead for Panthers Den, which is not part of the river to river trail. Walked all the way to the river to river trail, no spiders.
Yeah.
And as soon as we made the turn onto the trail, bam, got a spider.
Spider in your face, yeah.
So yeah, it's just the river to river trail that has all the spiders.
Yep, that's the conclusion we came to. And make sure your little brother is taller than you too, because if he's shorter, it's not going to be no good. So, but that's it. That's why we're here. That's why we skipped ahead. That's our trip so far. We're gonna enjoy this last 25 miles. Came out here to get an early start in the morning, and just stay tuned for the rest of the trip.